it's going to be fun, this. I mean, I have spent about £3 on the recording equipment, give or take, you know, and yeah, so I'm hoping it turns out well, you know, because if it doesn't, then there's a chance that I might kill myself. You seem like a nice crowd, which is good. Some of you seem a little bit excited. That's all right. I need to warn you at the very beginning of the show, though, that excitement can turn into disappointment very fucking quickly. And I know this better than anyone because the other day somebody sent me a dick pic. Now, I just want to take this opportunity right at the very beginning of the show to apologise to every woman that I've ever sent a dick pic to. Because when you're on the receiving end, it's fucking horrifying. I was just walking through town, minding my own business. I was like, oh, someone sent me a text message. Fucking hell! And this wasn't like a random number, by the way. I didn't get to look at a stranger's penis. Oh, no. I got a dick pic sent to me by one of my best friends. And he has one of the ugliest penises I think I've ever seen in my entire life. When I say that I've ever seen in my entire life, that is a fairly small sample size. I don't make men queue up and unzip their pants and I swipe left and right like I'm on human Tinder. I don't even know if a dick can be photogenic. I know what a penis is not meant to look like. And I'm pretty sure it's not meant to be 60% bell end. The only way I could describe it is it looked like a sausage that had been handmade by someone with Parkinson's. It was just sort of like all over the place. I was looking at it, I wasn't even sure what it was. It was like one of those magic eye paintings where you have to sort of work it out. Oh, that's a scrotum. Oh. And as I'm stood there looking at my best friend's dick, he sent me a second text message, and this one was even worse. It was all words, and it just read, "Oh my God, so sorry, did not mean to send that to you." And that was the worst thing he could have sent me, because up until that point, I'd been labouring under the misconception that my friend had just found a picture of a penis on the internet that he felt was so grotesque he thought he had to show somebody. I told my girlfriend what had happened, and she said, very valid point this, she said, "What are you going to do the next time you see him?" And I had to explain to her that, you know, at the end of the day, this is one of my very best friends, a guy that I've known for over 20 years, and I'm more than happy to just never speak to him again. I used to know a woman, actually, that said that she could tell what a guy's dick looked like just by looking at the guy. I didn't know that was a thing. Is that a thing? No. It's not a thing. She used to say that it was her little superpower. Now, talent, maybe, but superpower? They wouldn't let you into the X-Men with that shit, would they? First day walking in being like, "Oh, hello, you must be Professor Xavier. And I'm guessing yours doesn't work." I asked her what she thought my dick looked like. Man, if you ever want to have your self-confidence shot to fucking pieces, ask a woman what she thinks your dick looked like. Because she looked me up and down like she was doing some sort of survey. She looked at me and she just said one word that totally ruined me. She just went, "Chode." And that's a word I didn't know, but that's apparently when it's not big, but it's wide, stocky, girthy. You know, I have a girthy penis. Basically, my dick looks like a Polish builder. And it works just as hard. You know, for those of you that will know me on a personal level will know that I've spent the last few years of my life battling addiction. Now, it's not a big thing, or at least I like to think it isn't anymore, because I've taken control of my own life now, and I'm in charge. I'm the one that's back in the driving seat. I finally feel like I've got power over my own future, and that's a very motivating thing for anyone who's struggled with addiction to be able to have in their lives again. And I feel very proud to be able to stand in front of you people today and tell you in all honesty that it's now been over 6 months since I last had a Facebook argument. And it's not been easy, because there are some proper bellends in the world. I'm friends with this woman on Facebook. I went to school with her. I've not seen her since, and we're friends on Facebook. And I don't know why, because she's like my enabler. Because everything that she posts pisses me off so much. She's doing this thing at the moment. I don't know if any of your Facebook friends are doing this. She's going through this phase where she keeps posting random quotes from dead people and famous celebrities because she thinks they somehow apply to her and her shitty fucking life. Like, the classic one is the Marilyn Monroe quote. You know the, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. It's like, yeah, Marilyn Monroe said that when she was talking about her depression. I don't think you can use it as an excuse for the time you accidentally pissed yourself in Wetherspoons. I spend so much time on Facebook nowadays because everything on Facebook seems to piss me off, and yet I spend more time on there than anything else. Some people get really angry when people share fake news stories online. That's annoying, isn't it, when people share fake news? And I think that's bad. But I think it's even worse when someone shares a post about a bike going missing in London when they live in fucking Doncaster. Oh, we're going to have a nationwide manhunt because this knobhead's lost a bicycle. It's 250 miles away. Who do you think's nicked it? Bradley Wiggins? The worst ones are the attention-seeking posts. Every single person in this room, I bet, has got at least one person on Facebook whose life is a constant fucking drama. From start to finish. And this is the thing that pisses me off about those people. They never straight up tell you what's going on. Do you know, it's always like cryptic ass fucking shit. It's just vague enough to let you know that something has gone down. And you've got to scroll through the comments like a shit Facebook detective. Trying to piece it all together, see what's fucking kicked off. Reading all the comments from my munty friends going, oh, you okay, babes? Oh, inbox me, hon. I had one last year. It was the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, and it was one of those hashtag New Year, New Me bullshit type statuses. Somebody had put this on the bloody internet, and I memorised it off by heart. I committed it to memory. It annoyed me that much, right? Somebody had put as a status, I've had 8 car accidents in the last 3 years. So you can't tell me God doesn't have a plan for me. And you know when you want to comment, but you just don't? But I want it to be like, I hate to break it to you, but it sounds more like God is trying to kill you. At the very least, fuck with your no claims discount. Don't get me started on Twitter. I'm not even on Twitter because I got banned. I used to tweet about all the gigs that I'd done. That was something that I used to do. And I was doing a gig last year in a place just outside of Manchester, a place called Earlham. It was at Earlham Working Men's Club, which is in itself an oxymoron because it were fucking horrible. It was full of sort of big, hairy, tattooed, the kind of people that only voted for the BNP because that's the one they can fucking spell. Just awful people. They hated me, I hated them. I had the worst gig of my life. Just 20 minutes of silence. I went straight off stage, I went straight onto Twitter, and I was quite heated up, I was quite angry, so I put, I hate Earlham. Because Earlham is dirty, Earlham is backward, and Earlham can fuck off. And I sent that. I went to the bar to go and have a drink. I went outside for a cigarette and I felt a lot better about my life. 20 minutes later, my phone was going mental. I checked my phone. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the iPhone feature called autocorrect. It's basically like a spell checker, and if you put a word into your phone that it doesn't understand, your phone will autocorrect it to a word that it does understand. And my phone autocorrected the word Earlham to Islam. So that's why I'm not on Twitter. I mean, let's be honest, why do you think I grew the beard? Do you know, the only time that I genuinely feel like I can quit social media, honestly, the only time I feel like I can quit social media is whenever there's a vote or an election or something like that. Because whenever that's happening, an amazing thing happens to my Facebook feed where all the friends that I've been curating over many years, all of a sudden, just overnight, all magically turn into political fucking experts. All with their own beliefs and ideas that you have to like and share, and God forbid they ever disagree with you. Do these people not know that we know them the other 11 months of the year? We know that they're fucking idiots. Their opinion ain't worth shit. I was reading one about the evils of capitalism. I was like, mate, you're not a political analyst. You work in a fucking garden centre. And last election, I got properly into it. And I'm not here to preach politics to you because I don't understand most of it myself. But the last election, I really got into it. I read all the manifestos. I watched the debates. I caught 15 minutes of question time. I was committed to making the right vote about who I thought was best to lead our country forward. And then the very next day, I overheard my sister telling her friend how she voted for the conservatories, and I thought, what's the fucking point? Not everybody should be allowed to vote, should they? There's some people, you can't trust them with that responsibility. There has to be a cut-off point somewhere where they go, mate, you're a fucking idiot. Just, you have to put up with whatever us normal people decide. And my sister is so far beyond that line. Do you know what I mean? Whatever the line is, my sister is at least 3 miles to the left of it. Do you know what I mean? She is. My sister's 33, by the way, and she's finally figured out what she wants from life. What she wants is she wants a house, she wants a husband, she wants children, she wants a family, and I think that's great. I support her 100%. The problem is that she's single, and she's been single for quite some time, and she can't seem to figure out exactly why she's single. I know why she's single. See if you can work it out for yourselves. She will say something along the lines of, all I want is just like a really nice guy, somebody who's just really easy to talk to and who's on my wavelength and who has the same sense of humour as me and who gets me 24/7, and he's got to be good looking and have a nice body, but not like goes to the gym every single day and only eats chicken and protein shakes good looking. Like, I want somebody that if we were to have a pizza night that he wouldn't have to join CrossFit for a month to work that shit off. And he's got to be adventurous and like going outdoors and doing new things. I've always wanted to go hang gliding and parasailing. But if we just wanted to stay in and watch Netflix, then we could just stay in and watch Netflix. And he's got to like the same books and films and arts and music and literature as I do. And he's got to drive a nice car, but not like a dickhead car. Like a nice car with sensible miles per gallon that he keeps valeted regularly on the outside and on the inside as well. And he's got to have his own house. Or if not his own house, then the money saved up towards his own house. So when we want to move in together, we can just move in together and there won't even be any issues, and he's got a shampoo and conditioning, 2 separate processes. So he's got really smooth, silky hair, because I like running my fingers through guys' hair sometimes. And he's got a smell really nice, but not like an overpowering smell, just like a nice, neutral, clean sort of smell. Why can I not find a guy like that? And I don't have the heart to tell her that the reason she can't find a man like that is because she is a 6 out of 10 at best. I mean, perfect people are out there, but perfect people fuck other perfect people. They're not going to sully the gene pool with your big nose and your flabby tits. To go at 6 out of 10s. If you're a 6 out of 10, that's absolutely fine. But you gotta know your market, girl. And if you're a 6 out of 10, your market is other 6 out of 10s, 5 out of 10 with a good job, 7 out of 10 with low self-esteem. Or an 8 out of 10 with 60% bell end. You know what I mean? It is a thing, isn't it? You know when you see like a couple in the streets and one of them's like an 8 and the other one's like a 2? It feels weird, doesn't it? It feels like something's gone wrong. It's almost like you've got to stop yourself from going up to them and going, excuse me, sorry. What the fuck is this? You're an 8 and you're a 2. How is that possible? And people go, oh, well, he might be a really nice guy. He might have a really nice personality. He might be a really nice guy. Yeah, I'd be the nicest guy in the world if I was a 2 shagging an 8. I'd be holding open doors for strangers, helping little old women cross the street with their shopping bags. No need to thank me, madam. I'm fucking an 8. That's why I like watching The Undateables so much. No, I mean it, because on The Undateables, it's just 2 people who are looking for love and they don't care about anything else. There's no ego on The Undateables, is there? And I think we as a society could learn a lot from that. I have never once watched an episode of The Undateables where they meet each other for the first time in like a cafe or a restaurant and they sit down across from each other and one of them goes, are you fucking kidding me? I've got Asperger's, she's a head on a pillow, what the fuck? I'm in a long-term relationship myself. Do you see how quickly I tried to move past that then? There's always been a lot of sibling rivalry between me and my sister growing up. Right from when we were kids, you know? Like, right from when we were really, really young, there was always kind of like competition. I remember when we were little, I was jealous of her because she was better at football than me, and she was jealous of me because I got tits before she did. I was a B-cup in year 6. Every boy's fantasy. And now she's jealous of me because I'm in a long-term relationship and she isn't. And she never say that, but I know it. I can see it in her eyes, man. Like, I used to love telling the story about how me and my girlfriend got together. Very romantic story. We both met where we both started working together at the same job doing a 0 hours contract. Great story. Last year, though, I got a cease and desist notice from my old company saying that I could not use their name on stage again or I could be sued for libel. So I had to get a solicitor to look over this, and whilst I'm not allowed to tell you the name of the company, I am allowed to give you a hint of the name of the company. And if you happen to work it out for yourselves, no one's broken any laws. So see if you can work out this fucking crossword puzzle. The company where me and my girlfriend met, where we both started working together doing a 0 hours contract, It's a company that sells products relating to sports direct to the customer. Could be anyone, couldn't it? I'm in a long-term relationship with my girlfriend. It's going great. You know, I think that the long-term relationships that I've been in at the past, they always get boring eventually, you know, and I think it's monotony that kills a long-term relationship, routine, doing the same thing over and over again. And I'm lucky that my girlfriend is so spontaneous, you know, so open-minded, she'll try anything, you know, and that's how we keep the spark. Like, we're doing this thing at the moment where I got this little fantasy where she dresses up as a nurse and then goes out and works a 14-hour shift. Just get so much done, you know. We don't have sex as much as we used to, and she thinks that that's because I don't love her anymore. But I think it's normal. I think you have sex a lot at the beginning of a relationship, and then it sort of tails off into something that's comfortable. I think that's the natural progression of things. But like I said, she doesn't think I love her anymore, and that's not true. I love her as much now as I've ever loved her. It's just like I've got video games that I love that I don't necessarily play on anymore. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel like I've completed her. I think that's why Vajazzles were so popular a few years ago. That's like when a game goes, yes, you have completed me, but have you collected all the secret crystals? Been trying to get her to do anal recently. Not been calling it anal, obviously, because that'll freak her out. Just been calling it a much-needed expansion pack. She started doing this thing at the moment, my girlfriend, where she tests my love. It's weird. Like, we were watching TV the other night. We were watching Don't Tell the Bride, if you must know. And you're probably thinking right now, well, Freddy, that's an awfully nice thing for you to do, to sit there whilst your girlfriend forces you to watch Don't Tell the Bride. I make her fucking watch it. I love Don't Tell the Bride. So I don't even care who knows anymore. It's like, it was like a secret shame. But now I'm happy to admit it. I have watched every episode of Don't Tell the Bride at least twice, and I fucking love it. I love it. So it's wonderful. It's the best thing ever. And I'll tell you why it's so compelling to watch. Because that show, more than anything else I've ever seen, highlights perfectly how fucking retarded men are when it comes to any sort of romance whatsoever. They are all like, well, I met my girlfriend at Pizza Hut, so we're having a pizza-themed wedding. And then you cut to the bride walking down the altar in a wedding dress made out of cheese and tomato. All of her friends chucking pepperoni at her. She's crying, it's just not what I wanted. Suck it up, bitch. Your boyfriend's an idiot. Spent the 10 grand on toppings. This is your life now. So we were sat watching TV. We weren't even talking to each other, right? And she took that as a perfect opportunity to test my love. Because she turned to me out of the blue and she went, honey, if I was in an accident and I ended up in a wheelchair, would you still love me? And I was like, baby, no. You're hard work now, and that's with legs. I think she misunderstands how strong our love is. Sometimes I stop loving my girlfriend when she stood in a bad light. I just look over, I'm like, oh, fuck! Oh, just how the shade is on your face. We're compatible, though. I think that if you are compatible with somebody, then you have to grab hold of them, because the single market at the moment is tricky now. You think that all these apps and things would make it easier to meet people. I don't think it is. I think it's harder than ever before. Before I met my current partner, I went on a few dates with this girl. We'd been on 3 dates. We were on our 4th date, and for the 4th date, we were going to come back to mine, and we were going to watch Netflix, and we were going to get a couple of bottles of wine in, and I was going to do my thing. And I was sort of like overly excited about this, because up until this point, we hadn't had any physical contact whatsoever. And I don't mean sexual, I mean like we hadn't kissed, we hadn't held hands, we hadn't done nothing. And I think that's weird. Like 4 dates in, you know, I think that's an overly long time. But I mean, outwardly to her, I was like, no, baby, it's cool, I respect your personal boundaries. Blah, 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 blah. But in my head, I was like, at what point is rape justified? I just have visions of me in front of a judge going, look, I know I've done wrong, but I took her on 4 dates and I paid for all of them. I just want you to factor that into my sentence. So we're on date number 4. We get a bottle of wine in, we're all right, the movie's about to end, and I take this as an opportunity to start making my move. So I go over to her, I put my arm around her, I slowly I'm going to spare you the details, by the way, because some of you are just going, this is graphic as fuck. You don't need that. We start to make the move, and as I'm sort of just about there, she stops me. She goes, shh. Before we go any further, there's something you should know about me. I'm transgender. And I don't think you can be held responsible for your own words and actions when you hear a piece of news that you weren't expecting to that degree. Because I said to her, get out. But I meant it in my head, like, you really? Get out of town! But it came across as, get out of my house. You are devaluing the property. I'm going to have that sofa steam cleaned later on. We got into a big argument. She accused me of being transphobic. I accused her of false advertising. And then she said to me, she went, I don't have to tell you that I'm transgender, you know. Yeah, you fucking do. I don't have a problem with it, but a heads up would be nice, you know. Like, I understand why you wouldn't mention it on a first date. You know, it wouldn't be your opening gambit, would it? Hey, fun fact about me, my hands are this big for a reason. But we've been on 4 days. You think at some point you've got to just slip that information in somewhere? What about date number 3 when I took her to the circus and we were on the Ferris wheel and I bought us both hot dogs? You're telling me she couldn't have been looking at that going, this reminds me of the dick I used to have. I mean, if you think about it, nowadays you buy a car, you want a full service history to come along with it. Why can't we do that with people? Supermarkets got to tell you what's in their food in case you're allergic. Is it too much to ask just to have trans people dating with like a little badge or a sticker? You know, warning, may contain nuts. Do you know what the problem with me is? I don't date well. I'm very selective with who I do and don't find attractive, you know? Like, here's the thing. My penis is picky, and the rest of my body cannot afford to be. Because there are whole races, whole species of women that I just do not find attractive whatsoever. And I don't know why. My dick is not an equal opportunities employer. In fact, if we were going to be totally honest with you, I think, having known it as I have for the last 29 years, my dick is a bit racist. Because I would fuck a £300 white woman over a Korean supermodel, and I don't know why. It's just something inherent in me that I can't... But I can't do anything with that shit, can I? I can't go to dick diversity training. It's a preference that I gotta get used to and just get... I think it's because, like, I like a curvier woman. And in my head, like, you know, Chinese women have, like, little flat body. Like, there's no Chinese woman in the world that is bigger than a B cup. Do you know what I mean? Like, you never see a Chinese woman with just massive... Every Chinese woman looks like me as a 10-year-old boy. That's... what we're playing with. And I don't know what I can do with that. It's a preference. But then I started thinking to myself, would I fuck someone who's half Chinese? And I think it depends what the other half is. Because if it was half Chinese, half Korean, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think I'd know the fucking difference. What, so she's still got a little flat body and now she's holding a Hello Kitty lunchbox? Do you know when we rewatch this, it's going to be wonderful to look at the point where I lost most of you. I think if you're lucky enough to find somebody that you get on with that ticks even half of your boxes, then you should stay with that person. That's a good match. We tend to think of people as being perfect for each other. They're not perfect. People just kind of work, you know? Like, I'll give you an example. I don't understand those couples that want to be with their girlfriends 24/7. Like, I want to see my missus about 18:2. 2 days a week, 18 hours a day. Friday, Saturday, have a break between 11 and 5, that would totally work for me. Because if we're around each other too much, we start to argue a lot. We don't have any children together, but we've got a dog together. And people say that having a dog is a good practice for having a child, because people aren't as bothered if you accidentally kill it. If you've got a child and something happens to it, you've got to fill out paperwork. There's the proper authorities to notify. You accidentally kill your dog, the worst you've got to hope is that it's bin day. We have arguments about our dog all of the time. Like, the other day we had an argument about dog grooming. Like, I mean, like, you know, I don't mean like going online and like, I am a 6-year-old Dachshund looking for fun. I mean, like, you know, like pedicures and stuff for the dog. And 44 quid dog grooming costs. 44 quid. And she thought that was a great investment. And I don't really feel comfortable spending more on grooming my dog than I do on grooming my fucking self. And her whole argument behind this, by the way, her whole argument was, do you not want strangers to come up to you and tell you what a lovely groomed dog you've got? Absolutely not, no. That is weird as fuck. Because if I was walking my dog through the park and somebody stopped me and went, you've got a lovely groomed dog, I would assume they want to fuck the dog. I get cats and dogs, by the way. Cats and dogs are top-tier pets for me. And then you've got rabbits and guinea pigs and shit that are more expendable pets. They're not quite at the same level as cats and dogs. Like, every time I see somebody who's got a guinea pig, I'm like, fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't look at them with the same level of respect that I do for dog owners. That's weird. But right at the bottom of that chain are people who've got weird pets. Do you know, like, these are my Madagascan mealworms? Like, what the... Do Do you know, like, people with, like, a bearded dragon, and they think it makes them the coolest person in the fucking world. Oh, do you want to ask any questions about bearded dragon? Did you know the bearded dragon is indigenous to the southern parts of... What these people won't tell you when they're whittering on about their shit pet, what they won't tell you is how much they had to pay for the tank to keep it in. They won't tell you how much the light cost. They won't tell you that these animals have to eat at certain specific points of the day, so you got to wake up at 2:30 in the morning to feel it dead fucking crickets. And for what? What enjoyment do you get out of them? You can't pet them, you can't take them for a walk. No, they just sit there waiting to die like an old person in a nursing home. Having a weird pet is a lot like having a demanding girlfriend, in that you only put up with it because you want to fuck it. I think that's what you should ask somebody the next time they tell you they've got a chameleon or something. If you've got any questions about chameleon ownership... Yeah, I've got a question. You ever stick your dick in it? Hey, I'm not here to judge, I just wanted to know if it changed colour. Having a dog affects your life in different ways, you know? It's crazy. Like, we don't really go out and drink anymore because we got the dog. Which is fine, because I'm at the age now where I feel like I don't fit in anywhere. You look at all these people nowadays in these trendy nightclubs and bars. I don't have anything in common with those people. My friend took me to an R&B club the other week. Oh my God. If your idea of a good night is just Sean Paul and Fat Man Scoop being played over and over and over again, you'd love an R&B club. R&B clubs are just white girls trying to get black guys, black guys trying to get white girls, black girls getting pissy with all the white girls for stealing all the black guys, and me in the middle going, you got a $100 bill, get your hands up. So I don't go out and drink anymore. We don't eat out anymore either. That's the thing that I miss. We don't eat out because we've got the dog. It's too much hassle. The last time I went out, me and a few of my lad mates, we went for a Nando's, and funnily enough, one of my friends got food poisoning, and he was ill for 3.5 weeks. And I thought that if you caught food poisoning, it was like a 1 or 2 day thing max. But he was really ill. He was in hospital. He was bedridden for most of that time. I mean, he's all right now. He's walking about and stuff. He's fine. But when I saw him for the first time, after such a long time out, I looked at him. He looked like a completely different person. His face was all thin. He was all gaunt. I saw him. I was like, mate, how ill were you? And he said something that I've never heard anyone say before. He just went, too ill to have a wank. Those were his exact words, by the way. Too ill to have a wank. And the weirdest thing is in my head, I instantly knew how ill that was. I think that's a term that we should all start using. Collectively, as of today, we should all go away and try and push that into the English language. Because if we all started using it, eventually you could call in work. You could ring a sick day in. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't think I'll be coming in today. Why not? Is everything all right? Well, I woke up this morning and I tried having a wank and just wasn't feeling it, not coming in. I've been told that I am quite a selfish person. And I am. I'm a selfish person. I mean, I give money to charity, but only if it's for a disease that I think that I might get. Because if it's like cancer research or the British Art Foundation, I'm 19 stone. That's like an investment in my future. But if you come up to me and ask me if I want to donate to Save the Children, I'm like, fuck the children. Maybe not those exact words, come on. But you got to look after yourself. I mean, I don't have any children. I'm not planning on waking up and being a child. It's got nothing for me. I don't see any children donating their pocket money to adult obesity. They can fuck off. I saw an advert on TV the other day for Help the Aged. Help the Aged. You've got no mortgage and a pension. How much more help do you fucking want? You were lucky enough to live in a time where you could buy a 3-bedroom house for tuppence. I got to be a millionaire to own a 1-bedroom flat on the outskirts of London. If anything, you lot should be helping me. They should have adverts on TV going, for just £3 a month, you can help this 29-year-old man move out of his mum and dad's loft conversion. I'm lucky that I live in the UK. I'll give it that much. I'm a selfish guy, but I feel privileged and lucky enough to live in this country. Couldn't live anywhere else. I really couldn't. I'd have been dead a long time ago if I lived in any other... I look at people in the third world. I don't know how they get up in a morning. Do you know what I mean? Like, it baffles me how people in third world countries are alive. I don't get it. I dropped out of college because I didn't want to wake up at 10 in the morning for free education. How long do you expect me to wake up at 4 a.m. to go stitch wallets? There's whole countries that I just could not live in at all. Like India. More people live in India than anywhere else, apparently, in terms of the population density. And I don't know how they manage it. It's too dangerous over there for me. What with all the acid attacks and things, you've seen my act. I'd constantly have to be looking over my shoulder. I can't live like that. You say the wrong thing to the wrong person, they chuck acid in your face. You've got to spend the rest of your life walking round with a face like a slice of Billy Burr ham. And I couldn't live in America either. Because over in America, they let you have guns. And I need to live somewhere that does not allow me to have a gun. Because if I owned a gun, I would be killing one motherfucker a week. Minimum. If I'm driving in the UK, right, and somebody, like, cuts me off, I will race till I'm at the side of them, just so I can stare at them and give them evils. If I was doing that in America, I'd race to be the side of them, I'd stare at them, then I'd shoot them in the side of the fucking head. That's why I totally understand high school shootings. I get it, because I remember being at school, sat there going, I would kill every fucker in this classroom if it meant not having to do cross-country. I just had visions of me going up to the PE teacher. Have you brought your kits? Well, I brought an AK-47. What happens next is up to you. We live in such an unsafe world at the moment, you know, but I need to remind you that it's okay to joke about it, because everything's got a plus side, I think. That's my motto, that's my mantra in life, you know. Everything's got a plus side if you look hard enough. Even, I mean, look at something like terrorism, you know. Terrorism's made the world such an unsafe place to live, and I feel as though we're less of a global community now than we ever have been before. But on the plus side, you can get a 2-week all-inclusive holiday in Turkey for like 150 quid. It's done wonders for last-minute holidays, hasn't it? I've been to Paris 4 times in the last 2 years. I don't even fucking like it there. It's just too cheap not to go. You know, it's gotten so bad now that sometimes I'll start hearing about the latest attack on the news and I start praying that it's somewhere that I want to visit. So I'm there going, come on, Disney World. So if you get like a nutter with a machete takes out Donald Duck, that's like a £300 discount. I'll take that shit. They could be filming an ISIS training video from inside Disney World, holding up Donald fucking Ducks and Mickey Mouse's severed head, Minnie running around in the background with a burqa on crying. I'd be watching that going, oh, those lines look short. It's not for everyone, is it? Who's regretting this? I've been told the other day to check my privilege. Never heard that before. Check your privilege? What? What? Check your privilege. You're a straight white man. You're privileged. And I guess I am privileged, but I don't feel it, really. I mean, maybe that's because I'm so used to it, I don't notice it. That might be the case, but, you know, it's weird. Here's the thing, right? I get told to check my privilege. There's people out there that are far more privileged than me that never get called up on it, like attractive people. That's a privilege, isn't it? If you're attractive, aged 18 to 30, you own the fucking world. I think attractive privilege is totally a thing. Let me tell you, let me give you an example of attractive privilege, right? Imagine that you worked in a coffee shop and every day somebody came in specifically to get served by you, and they sat there and they drank their coffee and they watched you. And then after a while, they started waiting for you after your shift had finished. And then one night they followed you home and found out where you lived and started sending gifts through the post. And then on one stormy evening, you hear a knock at the door. And they open the door and they say, "I love you." If that's an attractive person, you might think that that's romantic. If I do it, you call the fucking police. I think we need a movement, you know? Black people got a social movement, gay people got a social movement, women got a social movement. What about ugly people? Who's fighting the corner for the guy with the little dick? Or the woman with the baggy vagina? Hashtag Slack Wives Matter. Here's another thing, right? How come whenever there's like a sex crime in the news, it's always an ugly person that's done it? Do you know what I mean? Every single time, stalking, assault, I have never, like, when was the last time you saw a rapist that was beautiful? It just doesn't happen. They stigmatise ugly people for sexual assault. Like Harvey Weinstein, he's an ugly motherfucker. He's doing it left, right and centre. That guy sprayed his load over more Americans than a Las Vegas gunman. They unfairly link ugly people with sex crimes. What about that guy that went viral a few years ago? That Jeremy Meeks guy who was just the hot felon. And he went viral on the internet just because he was good looking. And people couldn't believe, oh my God, he's beautiful. How has he got caught up in this? Oh my God. He's amazing. He's in gangs. But I love him. He's got a really kind face there. Oh my God. Oh my God. When was the last time you read a newspaper article about some pervert sniffing women's seats on the bus? And you read it and you go, oh my God, who could do something like that? And then you look at the picture of him and you go, yep, that explains everything. It's not even the worst thing about being fat, by the way. The worst thing about being fat is the clothing options. Because once you get to a certain size, fashion goes out the fucking window. If you try getting a top over XXL, they just give up. They're just like, here's a pop-up tent with a hole cut out of your head. I've got belts that I'm pretty sure are just leather hula hoops. And here's the thing, they make fat people's clothes, but they don't look the same as normal people clothes. They look just a bit different. Like, have you ever noticed how fat men's jeans are just a little bit too blue? They're not like denim blue, they're just like blue as in the sky blue. Not quite right, is it? You know, I have more sympathy, by the way, for fat men than I have for fat women. Because if you're a big fat woman, you get big fat titties, and that's like compensation, isn't it? Do Do you know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter how much of a fucking train wreck of a woman you are, there will always be some guy that will fuck you for them double Fs. That's just how it goes. But men don't get the same thing. When was the last time a man walked into a club and a load of women went, oh my God, I bet all that fat makes his dick enormous. No, they just look at you and they're like, bet he's got a chode. If you're a fat woman, there are so many things on the market for big, fat, ugly women to make the best of what they've got. You know, you got like stuff that will push things up, you got Spanx that will tuck things in, you got fake hair, you got fake nails, fake eyelashes, you got all your makeup, then you got like heels to make your legs look better. If you're a fat, ugly man, you are fucked. There ain't no like man Spanx vest that makes it look like you got a six-pack. No, you just got to stand in the corner with your blue jeans and hope some woman takes pity on you. Body shaming is a huge thing at the moment in society now, isn't it? Body shaming, you shouldn't body shame. You shouldn't be body shaming. Yeah, well, I think some people need the shame. I was watching a documentary on Netflix the other week. It was called Addicted to Food, and it was about the fattest people in the world. They used the term can't leave the house fat, as if that was like a medical definition, you know? It was one of those documentaries that pretends to be all highbrow and interesting, when really it's just an excuse for you to watch and go, Jesus fucking Christ. There were people who were like confined to their room, confined to their bed, just huge masses of people who just, that was their life now, you know? And it's weird for me, it's a mindset thing. How do you put yourself in that situation? How do you do it to yourself? I mean, like, in order for you to get so fat that you physically can't leave the house, at some point you had to be so fat that you almost couldn't leave the house. And that wasn't enough of a fucking wake-up call. We've all had that thing from time to time. You know when you put on a pair of jeans, they're a little bit too tight, or you look at yourself in the mirror, you're a little bit jowly, you think, I've got to lose some weight. Imagine, it's a whole different ballgame to be walking out of your own front door, feeling the sides of the door frame grating against your ribs. Having to push through like your own house is giving birth to you. Then after that experience, to have the temerity to turn around and think to yourself, no, I think I've still got a fucking handle on this. And I get comments about my weight all the time, but it's fine, you laugh it off. The privilege of being able to eat whenever the fuck you want comes with consequences of people talking shit about you, but it's fine, innit? It's fine. Like, here's the thing. I'm a big fan of a compliment insult. You know when someone sets out to compliment you, but what they really do is insult you 10 times worse? I fucking love that. I used to do this thing on stage about me being kind of a fat gentleman and how that's affected the amount of sexual partners I've had. I'm well aware that if we were to do a survey of all the people in the room and who's had the most sexual partners, I'd come out somewhere near the bottom. But I'm fine with that. Because on the flip side of that, if we did a survey of all the people in the room and who's eating the most Battenberg cake, I'd run away with the fucker. Now I've been led to believe that from time to time, people regret their sexual partners. I have never regretted a piece of Battenberg cake and a wank. Providing it's done in that order. Anyway, I used to talk about that on stage, but I had to stop because a woman came up to me after a gig and gave me the greatest compliment insult I've ever had in my entire life. She made a point of finding me after the gig. She put her hand on my shoulder and she went, "Ah, listen, love, listen. Don't think that just because you're a bit fat, people won't want to have sex with you." And before I could say thank you, she backed that up with yeah. Because there's people out there with all different kinds of weird fetishes. And I'm quite happy to come on stage and tell you that, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm comfortable in my body, I am comfortable with who I am, and I think that's very important in this day and age. I mean, this whole size zero culture that we live in at the moment is bullshit. We only think that skinny is beautiful because that's what the media tells us to think, and it hasn't always been that way. In medieval times, they used to think that being fat was considered very attractive because it was a sign of wealth. It meant you could afford to eat whenever you wanted. You go back even further than that, the ancient Greeks used to think that the most desirable aspect a man could have was a small penis. That's why you see all the Greek statues with tiny little dicks, because they thought big ones were animalistic. And personally, I take great comfort in the knowledge that there's at least 2 other historical periods where I'd be considered quite the catch. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for coming out.